Hey there everybody, welcome back to the Zeke's Obscurities YouTube channel. Today we're doing a Minecraft world tour. This world comes from around 4 years ago when I started building it, and we're going to walk through it today. This is the logging site that we're currently in. This is where all the wood was retrieved for the house that was built. As you can see, this is the logging house. So this is where we would go when we were logging in order to have a place to stay and a place to keep our materials, as you can see. So plenty of dirt, plenty of tree trunk, log, that stuff. This is the longest bridge in the world, one of the major bridges. As you can see, there's a hump in the middle, so that way you can get a boat through. There's an ocean out to the right. And you can see there how that hump will allow boats to go through. So you can see there's some terraforming that was done in order to make these hills. Over here is what was going to be an arena or a coliseum type of thing. I never finished this, but there was intended to be a coliseum over here. Now this world was done with some friends, and you will see some portions of this world where some of my friends' builds still exist, and I will point those out to you. The Colosseum was one of my other friends' ideas, and we were going to build it together, but he never had a chance to get back in the world, and I didn't end up building it. That's a tunnel that goes underneath because I thought I was going to build more buildings there. So I put a tunnel that went underneath of those buildings in order to have a way to get through. This building was never finished. It was intended to be an apartment building for other friends who came to join the world when we turned it into a realm. So there could be like 10 people on it, and we were going to put maybe like 10 apartments inside of this building. But we built this before we built the main house, or rather before we expanded the main house. And so this building ended up having no use. And so we just left it abandoned. Nonetheless, it looks really cool, and it does serve a functional purpose. And yes, all of this was built in survival mode. This road was intended to go all the way to the sea, because like I told you, down the river is the sea, but we did not end up finishing it or going that far. There's the other two bridges, well, the other couple of bridges there. Again, as you can see, there are humps for the boats. So this area right here, you can see that very shallow water, that actually used to be filled in with grass. And I cut away all of the grass and turned this little spit here into a peninsula because there were like dark oak forest all along here, and monsters would come out and attack me as I was following along this road. And so I decided to make that into water, so that way the monsters from the dark oak forest could not attack me. So as you can see that I'm highlighting right there, I turned that into a little shallow body of water. There's that tunnel again. Again, it goes straight underneath of that terraformed area. There's the bridge again, the long bridge. And there is the little lagoon that I created, again, as a deterrent for monsters. And it works, because, you know, if monsters are in the water, they make noise. So, coming up here is the wheat fields. This was our farm. We did all of our wheat production here. There's our sugarcane farm. As you can see, we had a very large, very expensive wheat farm. That was expanded over time, so it started as just a really, really small farm because the house slowly expanded. And as you can see, there's different wood types that are used in the house, like the birch, the oak, and stuff like that, and you can tell exactly when certain portions were built. The house originally, okay, that right there is the gallows that you just saw. We had a revolution inside of our world, and so we created a gallows to, well, hang people. And as you can see, it was effective at doing its job. So yes, this was the gallows. The area to your left is a bay, an artificial bay that we created in order to store our boats. This is the aquarium. We used to have fish in here, but then somebody killed all the fish. Again, another view of the bay. This right here is the church, and another view of the bay. Let me get you guys a little further out so you can see the church. That's the church. It has our portal in it to the nether. But it also has a cross, because it is a church. We built this pretty early in the game, actually. We carved out the hill and then built the church kind of into the hill. So this is the main house. It's been expanded over the years. It's one of the largest and most complicated houses I've ever made. I'll start by giving you guys just a little bit of an exterior view, and we'll go ahead and get up into the air here in a second, so we can fly and kind of take a better look at the surroundings. So this whole area here that I'm walking through right now and that I'm about to fly over used to be the Dark Oak Forest. And this forest would spawn a whole bunch of monsters and stuff, so eventually I just went in and took out all of the trees. So again, this used to be a very dense dark oak forest, and just over time we took out all of the trees, and now it's just a flat plain. Now in this video I'm not going to take you down into the caves, but the caves have a huge, and it's just expansive infrastructure in them. You can see the caves right there in the middle of your screen. The wooden beams are over top of them. But you can see here kind of how the different stages of the house developed. The area that's birch right there at the front was kind of the first house. There's the farms. Sorry about that, let me change the weather. But you can see that birch area was kind of the original house. Of course, that's also been expanded over time. But that was kind of how it originally looked. The house on the hill here, right, that you're looking at now, is my friend's house. And initially, that house was probably a minute's walk, because you had to go up some stairs. And so, yeah, it would take a little while to get to it. But as you guys can see, there were extensions that were built over time to this house, and there's even going to be another roof line that was built. But before we go into all of that, we're going to go down to the basement level of the house and take a little tour inside of here. So this area was built, well, this particular area, this is the house. But the area we're about to see right in here was built just because this part of the house was right on, kind of on ground level, and I didn't want to go through and build a floor for all of this, and I was just being kind of lazy. And so I went ahead and of course, you know, that takes a lot of resources too. And if you're in survival mode, you only have so much resources to spare. And so I didn't want to waste resources. But this is basically just an extra storage area. If people needed to store things, they could put stuff down here. But no big deal, really. For the interior tour, I probably won't say very much. There's a lot of staircases. There's a lot of different parts here. What I'll say here is that this was originally a house on stilts. When I started building it, the bottom level you see right where I'm highlighting with my circle did not exist. It was just open area underneath of the house that we stored animals in. We had pastures down there, little pens for animals. This area right here was open, and this was our little like walkway. It was just covered by the little roof up there, but otherwise it was open. We built a basement too that has 2 levels to it. We did not expand the basement very much, so as you can see, it's a little bit kind of a work in progress, but nonetheless, we did create a basement, like a bunker, kind of. This is the downstairs area of the basement. You can see there are a few rooms down here. I wasn't really the main builder for this. One of my friends did a lot of this basement stuff. He's a big underground guy, basement guy. I believe he was going to try and make this his residence. And this is also part of our first house in this world as well. As you can see, then the road kind of goes up, and as you can see, there are already windows there. That was actually the original front of the house that we just looked in the window of. Right up here was, I mean, it's all been expanded, but right up here did not exist until probably a couple years back. It was an addition. That sky bridge also didn't exist until maybe a couple years ago. But basically, this house, yeah, you can see there's windows here. So this used to be like part of the front of the house at one time, after another extension. But as you guys can tell, the house was expanded over the years, and it just kept on being expanded and expanded and expanded further and further and further. And there was no real governance on how it was expanded. So basically, I just started building things on top of already built things. And so you'll see inside of the house, there'll just be a random window in a wall, because I never bothered to destroy the window. And so that wall just has a window in it inside of the house. This was the new front of the house, but I guess you can see I never actually finished it because there's no windows in any, rather there's no panes in any of the windows. And this part wasn't even fully excavated. I don't know where that goes, but oh no, I do. It goes to my friend's house. It goes to my friend's house. My friend's house is not on the tour, but it's just a simple 2-story. Again, initially it was separated from this big house by probably a couple hundred blocks maybe, or well, maybe like 100 and something. But it was separated by a decent way. You had to climb up the stairs and then actually, go to his house. As you can see, there are many different staircases all around the house. As I built new additions, I also built new staircases because you want to have ways to get up and down inside of the building. But it also became very convoluted, as you can see here, because there are passageways and hallways that go every direction. Yep, see, there's another one that goes every direction. So you can open up 2 or 3 doors, and you'll be in a totally different part of the house. There's a whole nother staircase that we didn't go up. There's another staircase we didn't see. And again, each staircase was built upon an extension to the house. So basically, I didn't really build any extensions without building staircases as well. So if you see a staircase, that's because there was an extension made at some point. There's probably 7 extensions that were made to this entire building. There were several where I did not build a staircase, but most of them I did. Again, as you can see, the nature of this building is very convoluted. There's another staircase. And as you can also see, I really like using the 5x5 building style, similar to what you see in villages. I think it works very well, and it helps me to frame things in very easily, and to keep an ordered and structured design to my buildings. So I like to use that design. Makes everything look pretty symmetrical, pretty even. As you can see there, I filled in a window, so that was once the end of the house. And I haven't even filled any of this in. There's another staircase that I haven't completed yet. As you can see, this one is a little more open air. It's different. As you can see, this was built using different woods, bamboo and the dark oak hardwood. Probably due to a wood shortage of oak, because we did have an oak wood shortage for a long time. And the reason being because we tried to build that extension. We, meaning I, tried to build that extension out there to cover up the mine. And guys, initially the mine was probably 60 or 70 blocks away from the house. So the house has expanded over into the old dark oak forest. This is the original house. The door you're looking at right there was the original door that went out onto the grass outside. So this right here is the original door. This was the original furnace system. And all the stuff you see here up to that crafting table was originally built in the house. There was a wall right there. This did not exist until later on, and that moss block right there actually was the outer catwalk of the house. This here is the glassed-in interior that you were seeing from the outside. I built this within the first couple of days. This is one of the first things that I built in the house. This is one of my friend's rooms. There's a bed in there and some crafting materials. That down there is the basement that we filled in. As in, it used to be pastures, and we filled it in. This is one of the original staircases. This is one of the first common areas that was built, and actually this used to be part of the roof line, because this house was only about 3 stories when it was first created, and so none of this stuff was here. So this area back here was all just kind of the empty space. That area where there are, excuse me guys, those 2 blocks, that's where kind of that roof line was. There's the view from the balcony out the front window, and you can see the pillager flags there from when I defeated a pillager outpost. And then this was the original staircase as part of it, and this is the 3rd floor of the house. There's another balcony up there that I built when I expanded the roof line, and you can actually see the roof line right there. If you guys rewind your video like 20 seconds, you can see the light-colored birch planks there that came to a crest at the roof line. So that was the original roof line. So of course all of that up there was like an expansion. It was not originally there. Down here was the basement originally. This was underground when the house was originally built. As you can see, this is the original like mine area. So down here we started doing a little bit of some of our mining. And then of course the mining was directed to the cave after this, and we started building huge structures inside of the cave. I'm not going to show you guys the cave in this particular video tour because it's already 20 minutes. But if I can get another recording of it, then I will paste it onto this video. So we'll see what I can do. So down at the end of this tunnel is essentially a couple of different mining areas, but basically it is a tunnel that leads to a cave, and it also leads to an emergency escape route. Because remember, this was a multiplayer server at one point in time, and so there were a couple of server wars because, you know, we have the guillotine, or not the guillotine, excuse me, but the gallows. So there were a couple of server revolutions, and so we had some issues. So we did have to have an escape route. And up here, you'll be able to see the complex system of doors to keep zombies out of the escape route. That right there is the escape route. And that right there is where the cave is. And we're going to go visit the cave first. Nothing really to see there. I'm going to go ahead and skip it. This is the cave. This is the emergency exit. So we're back in the main house. This is the basement, as I told you guys before. There's one of the players' rooms. This is where a lot of our rooms were. Also, our original storage rooms down here. I'm about to show you that right now. This right here was our original storage room. This is where all of our stuff was kept, and that door that was over at the other side of the storage room was the exit door to the side of the house. The rest of the video is going to be looking at the lava structures that we created late in the history of this world, so probably around 2.5 years ago. Also, the strip mine that we attempted to create right here. And lastly, we will be looking at the big mine that we have, that we created using the gunpowder that we made. This was created using a giant block tower, and then someone sacrificed themselves to basically drop lava off of it and create a skyscraper. And this is the mine. Of course, we used TNT, but we also mined it out to get blocks and stuff out of it. This right here was built underneath of a lava flow, so that we wouldn't die trying to get to our mine. The rest of the video is going to be basically a flyover of the house. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I recorded this on iMovie, and I haven't used iMovie since like the 8th grade, so I apologize if the quality is a little bit lower. The next few Minecraft videos I'm going to be making will also be on iMovie, so stay tuned for that, and stay hydrated, and make sure to subscribe.